Hello, welcome to mathematics. Let's start with very basics. Mathematics starts with a count. So, we count things with numbers like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and so on. These are numbers, also known as natural numbers. We can do a lot of things with these numbers. For example, once they reach to 9, we combine 1 and 0 to make 10, and then 11 and 12 and subsequently. So we can do a lot of things with numbers. For example, we can add them. So 2 plus 2 is equals to 4, and then we can subtract them. So 4 minus 3 is equals to 1. We can multiply them. Multiplication basically means, for example, if you're doing 3 into 2, that means you're adding 3 2 times, or you're adding 2 3 times, so this is 6. We can also divide, which is basically 6 divided by 2. So we are dividing 6 in equal parts, so we know that 6 is 3 plus 3. If we divide 6 equally, so this one part is 3, another part is 3, so that means is equals to 3. Fortunately, when we do 6 by 2, it becomes 3, so it becomes another natural number. But it's also possible that this also becomes 3 by 2. So 3 by 2 will be 1 and 1.5. That also means this 1 point. Yeah, so when we divide 3 by 2, it can become 1, 1.5, and 1.5. These are known as fractions. And on some later date, we'll see fractions in detail. But meanwhile, we can just... So these are fractions. We can do a lot of things with numbers. We can make squares of them. So 2 into 2 will become 4. 4 into 4 becomes 16. 4 into 4 becomes 16. Similarly, these are squares. And then we have square root as well. So this is the symbol for square root. That means that square root of 16 will be 4. Square root of 4 will be 2. You can also take powers of numbers. So 2 raised to 2, that means 2 into 2, that is 4. 10 into 4, that will mean 10 into 10 into 10 into 10, that will be 10,000. Numbers also help us measure. So we see that there's a world around us, and if we want to measure things, we break them in units. So for example, if we were to measure distance, we measure them in units of kilometer. So we have 1 kilometer, 2 kilometer, 3 kilometer, and so on and so forth. So what we do is, we have a distance, we break them into standard units, and we measure them in units. So we can measure them with numbers. And now what we have is, we can multiply distances, we can add distances, we can subtract distances, because we're using numbers. Similarly, for example, if we were to measure temperature, we measure that in degrees Celsius. So we have 40 degrees Celsius, 100 degrees Celsius, different numbers. Numbers can also be negative, and we represent them with a dash before them. So minus 4 degrees Celsius means 4 lesser than 0. Now another important thing is, when you're multiplying positive and negative numbers. When we are multiplying two positive numbers, it's positive. When we are multiplying one positive and a negative number, it's negative. And we are multiplying two negative numbers, it's always negative. Every number by default is positive. So if there is just 4 written here, that means it is plus 4. In this equation, this is 4, for example 4 minus 3. When we are calculating this, we are essentially adding 4 plus a minus 3, so that it becomes 4 minus 3 equals to 1. Numbers are odd and even as well. So 1, 3, 5, 7, these are odd numbers, and 2, 4, 8, these are even numbers. We can also see that the even numbers are sort of divisible by 2. It's a long topic anyways. A good trick for multiplications to remember is a multiplication of an odd and an even number will always be even. So any even number multiplied with an odd number will also become even. Multiplication of an odd and odd number will always be odd. So even into odd is always even, odd into odd is always odd, and even into even is always even. Apart from this, there are prime numbers. Prime numbers are numbers which cannot be divisible by anything other than them and 1. So for example 3, you can't divide by anything other than 3 and 1. So we have prime numbers such as 1, 2, 3, 7, 11, 13, and so on and so forth. Numbers also have factors, because every number is sort of made up with multiplication of different things. So for example 7 has two factors, 7 and 1. So 1 we usually don't showcase it as a factor, but it's always a factor of all the numbers including 1 except 0. So we have 6. So 6 has factor of 6 is made up of 2 into 3 into 1. 6 can also be 6 into 1. So when a number has factors more apart from 6 and 1, 2 and 3, that is not a prime number. And factors we can use in multiple ways, and we'll see them later. So this was just a basics on numbers, and we'll see how we can use them going forward. Okay, one just short quick thing about numbers is there are constants. Number can also be used as constant. So for example, if there is a number that is 6, its value will always be 6 in any equation. And for example, speed of light is a constant. Another example of a constant is pi is equals to 22/7, which is again sort of a constant and will always be a constant. And then we have variables, which can have any number, any value in terms of and then we have variables which can take any value. So we'll see them next.